Let's talk a little Conor McGregor, okay? Let's do a quick update. In the last week, Conor McGregor sent out a tweet that said it has been 3 years since I carried Floyd Mayweather. Time goes fast when you're stacking cheddar. Enjoy retirement, champ. Very funny. I mean, that's very interesting. That's stacking cheddar, 3 years, tells him to enjoy retirement. I mean, anybody else would be calling him out, hey, let's do it again. Obvious, right? The more thirsty you look, the less you're going to get to drink in this business. Speaking of, then Manny Pacquiao's trainer, and not Freddie Roach, another gentleman who's identified as Pacquiao's coach, comes out and talks about Conor McGregor and completely dismisses him. We would never do a fight with him. There's absolutely nothing to gain. Plus, the guy's a jerk. Why do you want to put money in his pocket? I'm paraphrasing. I'm at least 95% accurate there. Well, that's an interesting one as well. Denying that you want a fight that you really want as a way of getting the fight. It's one of the few strategies. I fully understand, but it's still a lie. So if you're going to lie, do a lie that would work and is not so obvious, would be my encouragement. I do feel denying a fight is better than begging for the fight. I would just offer a middle, because you're lying either way. Yes, you do want the fight. You're getting a percentage of it. It's going to be huge. And yes, your athlete wants the fight, which we know because he's done his own interviews where he said, which was a clue to me, a clue that he wanted the fight, is when Manny Pacquiao did an interview and said, I want the fight. So if you're going to lie, you're much better to tell a lie that is, yes, that fight has been offered. Yes, we're fighting in December. A different lie. I don't know what he's doing. We have been offered a contract. I wasn't supposed to say anything. I signed the contract. It's held up on his end. Something along these lines is more compelling than the obvious, yes, I want to fight him. No, I don't want to fight him, which both mean I want to fight him really, really badly. But one's more interesting. And if you're resigned to telling the lie anyway, tell a better lie. Then Anderson came out, confirmed what Dana had said, which is his fight with Uriah Hall will be his last fight, but he left this door wide open about fighting Conor McGregor. And when he did it, when Anderson did this, he was very complimentary of Conor and his skills. But he did leave this door open. Now, reason I bring this up, nobody can get more media by not fighting than Conor McGregor. And you should ask yourself how and why. There is an art to everything that Conor has done in his career. And if you can connect the dots of how a guy who is unlicensed, has only done one boxing match, has the top boxers calling him out. By the way, I just 3 call-outs of Conor this week. Even if one was a lie, they were all call-outs. You better believe Oscar's about to do the same thing. Oscar is definitely going to go after the Conor fight. I'm just sharing with you that's 4 guys in 2 different sports, 3 in a sport of which Conor doesn't do. Conor is not a boxer. You can tell me he boxed, you'd be right. Conor is not a boxer. He's a mixed martial artist who went and boxed. He's got these huge names in the boxing world talking about him every day. It's an interesting piece of psychology that if you're a young fighter, you must study. You must study. I could give you the answers and I could tell you how he got the, but I think you'd have more fun and learn more if you tried to get there on your own. The ultimate spot to be in within this sport is when the outcome of your matches don't matter. Everybody in this sport must win to be propelled. They must win to stay a main event. They must win to become a contender. They must win to have the interest of the fans. If you can be in a position where the outcome no longer matters, you're in the greatest spot. Now, did I sound smart saying that? Did that impress you? I must tell you that's not my line. I was fed that line by Daniel Cormier. Very early in Daniel's career, he had made this comment to me. I never thought about it from this perspective, but there was athletes that were in that spot. I just never considered that. Yeah, I want to see what they do next, and I don't care what they did last. There's an expression in this sport, and you should keep it because it is 99.9% true that you are only as good as your last fight. But there is a little room for that 0.1%, and Daniel was telling me he was at a young point in his career. He had just won the Strikeforce Grand Prix. He just got signed into the UFC. He was still fighting at heavyweight, and he was telling me, this is what I'm working toward. I want to be the world champion, but I'm working towards getting to a spot where the outcome of my matches don't matter. Where if I'm a co-main event, I don't lose that status by losing a match. If I'm a main event, I don't lose. You guys get the concept, but it was one that I had not considered until Daniel said that to me. Said it very brief, almost in passing. I'm turning this into a 2-minute piece. Daniel simply said, I want to get to this point in my career where the outcome doesn't matter. That was hard stop. I took all the rest and added to it, but it was a very interesting concept. It was one that I had not considered. It is a spot that Conor is in. I believe the only other person in that spot is George Masvidal. I don't believe there's anybody else that you could fully say that about without question. I have to go back and remember whether Conor won his last fight or not. If I study, okay, yes, it was January 20th. It was Cowboy Cerrone. He did win. I have to do the same thing with Masvidal. Masvidal's last fight, okay, was on Fight Island. It was against Usman. Usman's still the champ. I guess Masvidal, oh, that's right, Masvidal lost. Very rare thing. But how do you stay so interesting and so compelling that somebody who saw it happen has to search their memory where you don't even remember it? How do you put a bow and package that so incredibly quickly? There's ways to do it. I saw Rampage one time. Rampage fought and to John Jones. He fought and lost to John, and it was pretty one-sided. John ultimately got a rear naked choke and tapped him out. Before Rampage left the ring, all Rampage said about that when they interviewed him, he goes, "Hey, guys, I thought this guy was hype. He's better than I thought he was. Hey, Shogun, I want a rematch." And by the time Rampage had left, there was a completely different narrative around Rampage, and it was not that he lost to John Jones. Oh, Rampage versus Shogun. Wow. Yeah, remember when they did that in Pride? Oh, wow, Rampage wants to do that again. Hey, Shogun, what do you think of that? Rampage had changed the entire conversation before he exited the cage. Rampage was unintentionally a marketing genius. He was like a really charismatic guy that was funny. People liked to see him. He did the chain. But it wasn't like this well thought out plan. He just was. There was just things about Rampage that you could go back and watch and go, whoa, look how he did that. And that's one of them. That was a great example right there where a guy would normally be down at, where do I go from here? I was just in a main event. I just fought for a world title. It's only going to be down from here because I came in second. No, man. He flipped that. He talked about John for 5 words. Thought that guy was hype, better than I thought he was. Shogun! Changed the whole topic. Things to be observed.